Welcome to AlbionVC's Women in Leadership series. I'm Jess, an investor with Albion, and I'm joined by our talent director, Jane.
Hi, Jess.
And we're so pleased to have with us Victoria Peppiatt, the co-founder and chief revenue officer of Phrasee.
Hi, ladies. Really excited to be here.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. So in celebration of International Women's Day on March 8th, Jane and I are hosting a series of conversations with all the female founders and CEOs in the AlbionVC portfolio. So we plan to pick your brain a bit on being a founder and then move into a quick fire round of would you rather style questions to ask you a bit more about your leadership style and you yourself. Can you tell us in your own words how you came to found the business?
I certainly can. So Phrasee came about basically from one simple idea that language that a brand uses in its marketing is the crux of all its marketing efforts. However, up until now, we've never been able to quantify why one bit of marketing language might outperform another. And there was no technology on the planet that could actually do this. So not only generate the language, but sounds like somebody from in their marketing team, but actually optimize it so that it outperforms anything that a human would normally write. And so we developed Phrasee as a piece of technology that's quick to use and didn't generate spammy or robotic sounding language. You know, our vision is to empower these massive global brands that we work with day to day with AI-powered copywriting, and that not only boosts marketing performance, but actually makes a difference to revenue. It's all about the incremental revenue that optimizing their language can make. So yeah, I mean, when we launched 6 years ago now, like it was just too good an idea for me to turn around and say no to. Like when Parry came to me, so I've got Parry and Neil, who are my two co-founders. And when they pitched the idea to me and Neil was like, I can build this. And Parry's like, I've got the vision. He was so passionate about it that for me, it was just a no-brainer. So we actually launched the business February 2015. I ran it side by side to my creative agency for a few months. And then we started to pick up traction, signing customers like Virgin Holidays in our first year. And then 24 minutes into our second year of business, eBay signed. And at that point, we knew, wow, this is going to be world leading, and we're going to really make a difference with AI-powered copywriting. And at that point, we knew it was a winner.
Oh, that's so cool. What a great story about really being inspired by what the technology can do. Can you tell us what was maybe the most unexpected thing about your first year as a founder?
There's so much unexpected stuff that happens in your first year of a business. But I think for me, the real lesson that I learned was that true innovation requires an enormous amount of education, because if you're at the forefront of technology and you're really pushing boundaries, like AI was just starting to come about six years ago in MarTech. You know, we were one of the first marketing technologies that was talking about AI, and we use actual AI. Like you mentioned at the beginning, we use natural language generation and then deep learning. But actually, AI-powered copywriting wasn't even a thing that anyone had heard of. So we really had to work hard on creating this market. And for me, that was the biggest bit that we had to learn. It's about education. You can't just, even though you're passionate about something and you know that it works and you know that it's going to get great results, you've got to bring people on a journey, and they've got to understand what it can do for them, what problems it's solving, and how it can benefit them, not just from a technical basis, but actually benefit them from a bottom line. It's got to be about the fact that it generates incremental revenue for the brands that we work with. So I think for me, that's the biggest lesson, but also just that it's not easy. I mean, gosh, it's like the biggest roller coaster ever. You think, oh yeah, I've got this and we'll do that and then this will happen. It just doesn't happen like that. You think, okay, growth's going to happen like this. It's like this roller coaster. And when you get to that bottom bit, you think, oh my God, this is so hard. Like, how are we going to get up? And then you basically, I think it's a little bit like Phrasee, actually. It's all about testing, learning and pivoting. And there's so much that happens in that like first or second year of business where you've got to be constantly listening to your prospects, your customers, and making sure you've got that really great product market fit. So keep pivoting. But yeah, I mean, I think those would be my two key things really for the first year.
No, I think that's perfect. I think it's so important when sort of deep tech startups are inventing the markets that they intend to dominate. You really need to bring the whole industry along for the ride and get that buy-in, and then staying agile as you do it, listening to the customers and being ready to move. I think powerful lessons for would-be entrepreneurs. And thinking about your own journey, what do you think has been the biggest change you've seen in yourself between now and 6 years ago?
I think the biggest change is when you start, you wear many hats. Like when you're originally launching, like there was Harry, Neil and myself, and you're all doing a bit of everything every day. Like 1 minute you're doing a bit of marketing, then you're doing sales, then you're doing customer success, then you're doing a bit of accounting, and you're registering for that, and you're learning about all of those sort of fundamentals. And I think as you grow through a business, it's really, really important to understand where your strengths lie, what you're genuinely really good at, and understanding that actually you can't be good at everything. We all want to be great at everything, but it's just not like that. Mm. And so I know there are areas that I excel. And I think the biggest learning for me is about then growing your team around you. You want to surround yourself with utterly brilliant people that fill in all those holes and those gaps where your weaknesses. So you form this matrix of like solid strength. And I think that's why as well, Harry, Neil and myself are a great founding team, because the three of us couldn't be more different. And we all offer a completely different skill set that when you bring it together, it's really formidable. So I think for me, understanding that and being okay with the fact you can't be good at everything. It really is about then building that team around you and just surrounding yourself with truly amazing people. And we're super lucky at Phrasee. Honestly, we have some of the smartest, most brilliant people in the world working for the company. So yeah, we've done well on that.
I love that, sort of the power of knowing your own strengths, delegating, and believing and trusting in your team.
Yes.
Absolutely.
100%.
So reflecting on your own strengths and sort of how that serves the team, what would the team say your superpower is?
Oh, I think it's probably going to be people, in the fact that I love our team. I love our customers. I mean, I'm not going to lie, the past 12 months have been particularly hard for me in lockdown, but like I get my energy. I'm a natural extrovert. I get my energy from other people and I get my energy from success. So nothing makes me happier than seeing my team succeed. And that's what I feel is my role within the business, and the fabulous people that are working within the revenue function. It's to empower them and support them so that they can succeed and do their jobs brilliantly. And then similarly with our customers, like nothing makes me happier. I've had some brilliant customer calls already this morning where the results are just phenomenal, and to see how excited they are with by implementing technology like Phrasee. And it's not smoke and mirrors. It's really black and white. They can see the incremental revenue we're bringing. And they're just like, wow, this is just phenomenal. Where else can we use this technology? And that for me, I think it's the people side of business that's my superpower. I think at least that's what everyone would say. You never really know, do you? You should admit it now.
Yeah, I'll tell you now. I'll tell you now, Vic.
It's fine. And I'll be like, Vic, what are you talking about?
Well, that's so important to sort of know where you draw your strength, and you're drawing it from celebrating sort of the success of the team and the results that you guys are generating, which is fantastic. And I can certainly empathize with being an extrovert in lockdown is hard.
Well, I think it's been hard for both extroverts and introverts. It's been like this for everyone. It just seems to have happened at different times, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up and down.
Yeah.
So another important element of leadership we know is the ability to sort of focus. And how do you think about sort of saying yes versus saying no to competing priorities as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, this is really hard. Again, I think it comes back to very similar, like in those early days when you're doing a bit of everything and you know that you've got to put many different hats on and you're trying to work out what you need to learn quickly, how to prioritize, basically. And that's crucial all the way through. I think as you grow, it becomes even more important, and it becomes, I think there needs to be more focus. So one of the things that we've been really big on in the past couple of years, as we've grown the team, because we're now just about to hit, I think, 70 of us within the team. It's about getting focus within the area that you work and not being distracted by what other teams, what other areas are working on. And the way that we've addressed that at Phrasee is to make sure that everyone, we've got a very clear business objective that everyone's aligned to. And then within that, each of the departments, we've got a very clear product strategy and roadmap. And then from that comes a very clear sales and marketing strategy that aligns with the product. And then we've got the operations strategy. And I think for me, it's really, really key to have that so that everyone knows what they're working to. You've got your OKRs, so your objectives and key results, you know what needs to happen. And I think it makes it then much easier as an individual or as a leader to know what to say yes or no to. Like, does it align with our strategy and our overarching business objectives? And if it's no, then you've got to say no, because you've got to stay focused on the path. And so that for me has been a really big learning curve, because I think, like I said, that many hats and everyone's doing a bit of everything at the beginning, which is what you need. You need that hustle right in those early days to make sure that, dare I say it, shit gets done. But like, it's really true. Like, everyone's just got to roll their sleeves up and muck in. And then as you grow, you understand that focus is key, like, and teams need focus and individuals need focus. And you can't be that jack of all trades.
Yeah, I like that. Sounds so organized. The structure of the strategy, the product roadmap, the OKRs. It's nice to learn to trust in those tools so that you can stay focused and execute. And
That's clear, right? It's clarity, isn't it? Clarity.
It's made such a difference us implementing it all, and it makes it clear for everyone to know what the next steps are. Where are we going? How do we get there? What have we got to do? And I think, for us as a business, when you start top down, which is what we did, we worked out, right, what are our business objectives? It suddenly just makes everything clearer. And the decisions, like you just mentioned, like what to say yes or no to and how to prioritize.
Fantastic. Yeah. I think there's so much to learn from businesses that have implemented the OKR approach, and how they've implemented it successfully. It sounds really effective for you guys. So just finally,
actually, sorry, Jessica. When was it? So you're 6 years old. When was the first year that you actually thought, yeah, we've nailed OKRs?
That's a really good question. Even now, like, it's funny, you implement them and then you go, oh, this isn't quite working. Yeah. I would say in the last 12 months. Yeah. Right. So we originally started looking the year before last and starting to implement, and they're a bit fuzzy, and you're trying to, they're never quite right the first time you set them. No. And then you have to just tweak and getting everyone on board and making sure that everyone knows what they're working to.
Yeah. But it's really useful to know, isn't it? Like, because we're here to inspire others and other, female leaders coming up. It's like, at what point is that just so vital that you get it right? And as you say, kind of second year in, to be nailing it in the way that you just described there is already fantastic. So yeah, super useful. Sorry, Jess.
Oh, no, that was really helpful. So just ending on sort of how you've built out the team, from the early days till now, what sort of strengths do you think you need in the people around you that make you even more effective?
This is a really good question. I think there's an element of, dare I say it twice, but of literally getting shit done. I mean, you've just got to get on and do stuff. You can't, everything's aligned and everyone's planned, like, you need people who don't just come and say, oh, there's a problem. They might come and say, Vic, I want to make you aware of this problem. However, this is the solution. This is what I'm going to do. And just like making you aware of it. So they're not just bringing problems, they're bringing solutions as well. And from my perspective, I think, like, we've really nailed this on a team perspective. I've got some really strong wing men and wing women. And I think from my perspective, I think things like the fact that they're really collaborative, they're proactive, supportive, and positive. Like, I'm not an eternal optimist, get the word out. But I do believe in positivity. I think there's an element of, you've got to always be thinking, right, okay, this might not be where we want to be. How are we going to get there though? And how are we going to pivot and support each other so that we feel like we're achieving it together? And I think that's crucial for me, that element of positivity, so that you're kind of like all in it together, and we're going to get there, and we're going to succeed, and we're going to do it brilliantly. So I think a combination of all of that, but in the same breath, I need people to be able to go and off and do stuff on their own, get the work done without needing me to hold their hands throughout the whole process. So yeah, I'd say sort of collaboration, supportive, positive, and just getting it done.
That's perfect. Finding those people that bring problems, but with solutions and ready to act on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
You talked beautifully there about the language of development and the education, element being, kind of so fundamental to the growth of your product. I'd love to take the opportunity to play our game, the Would You Rather game, which is just a really funny, hopefully an entertaining format, to dig into the education that you've been on as a leader, and the language that you use in your team and in your leadership, sort of as you've crafted your leadership style, which has had to evolve, and you can hear that it's evolved as you've grown and ahead of that growth, so that you're able to hit the challenges real time. You've got to be ahead of the curve, Vic. So
I love a game, by the way, ladies. Always up for a game.
Always up for a game. Here we go then. So, would you rather, questions on leadership for you, Vic. Would you rather hire for high IQ or high EQ, and has it changed?
High EQ, always. Has it changed? I think it depends on area, but no, fundamentally EQ. I think if you're building a team that's going to be working like that and working in collaboration and really combining superpowers, I think EQ is hugely important, especially actually more so than ever now that everyone's been forced to go remote. It's really vital.
Yeah, amazing. I was going to ask, would you rather get things done or get things right? But I'm guessing it's get things done. So
I'll tell you what, I'm going to do an order of that one. It's get things done and then get them right. Because I'm a believer of as well, like, you can make mistakes. It's just important. So you learn so much from making mistakes. Like, it's just a case of sometimes you need to do it. And as long as you learn from it, you will always get it right subsequently. You must never make the same mistake twice, of course. But yeah, so get things done and then get them right.
So when you were saying earlier, it made me think of it, and it's appropriate, I think, to ask now. How do you stop yourself feeling like you failed? If you do something and you get it wrong, you talked about the that evolution.
Yeah.
Like, how do you stop yourself thinking, "Oh my God, like I can never do this"?
I'm a big believer in not punishing yourself and trying to really have, again, this is very similar to resilience, I think. It's a trait that you can teach yourself. And I think if you're able to always take a stand back and go, okay, that's not right. It was a terrible decision. And you understand why it was a bad decision. And you know, okay, what would I do next time to not make that same decision? So as long as you learn from why it went wrong, you can only grow. Like, that is, you learn and the biggest learnings of life are always from the biggest mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think if you can it's just a bit of, probably a bit of CBT, isn't it? Cognitive behavioral therapy. And it's just practicing that and being able to talk to yourself and not punishing yourself. If you go into something, you know, it's a big decision and you're like, right, I am making this decision based on all the facts and the information that I've got now. And on that basis, I'm going to choose X. And if the answer should be Y, then just be prepared to go, okay, it was the wrong decision. I'll never do that again.
Love
a
it.
big one, or not having
Love
regrets. Yeah,
And
because otherwise you punish yourself.
Yeah, it's true. And it's just, failure is a part of success, or certainly is it part of innovation, isn't it? Or success in innovation. It's just quite in the moment, sharing from personal experience. This week even, I'm like, oh God, I've actually got to go back to the beginning. Like I'm like, oh, I've got to go back to the beginning. And you've really got to pull yourself through that. Like you can't stop.
Yes.
Inspiring me to keep going. Thank you.
And Jane, I've got to be honest as well, that feeling you have, that's when I know that I'm really learning and developing as a human. That horrible, uncomfortable, gross feeling that we all get at times, and like, I can't do this. And you like almost sort yourself out. And then you do it and you think, oh my God, not only have I done it, I've done it quite well. And then it's about building resilience, because the next time it comes around, you're not going to be as scared. So I'm with you. You've almost got to, I think I sometimes compare it like with my team. And actually I was talking to my son about this the other day, that level of fear and excitement and nerves and anticipation, like it's all really, really close. And if you can then understand when you start to feel like that, don't make it feel like nerves and that you're worried or you're anxious. Actually go, oh, I'm really excited.
Yeah. So you stay in the challenge zone.
Yes.
This is a challenge versus this is a threat to my, it's like the existential crisis that happens somewhere along that spectrum. It's definitely my reality this week. I can share that for sure. So would you rather hit your numbers and mistrust your team, or have mistrust in the team, or trust your team but miss your numbers?
That's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? You don't want to say that. You just mistrust.
Got it out.
Definitely the latter. Trust my team. Maybe you slightly missed my numbers, but I know that we would get there in the end. Like, even if it means something, the trust element is vital. You have to trust your team.
How do you know?
That is number one.
How do you know when you trust them?
That's a good question. I mean, there is something to say. It's not like a test. There's a gut, general feel. You just know you've got to go. There are some things I think in business as well. We often are told to like fight your gut instinct and only go on the data and all, but the gut feeling is there for a reason. Trust it. And I think that's been a massive learning curve, I have to say, for us from day one about hiring people. Mm-hmm. We've always found that if you've had that gut feeling that something's not quite right, 100% it's not right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know we're going off track now, Jess, so we're going to take too long, but another girl, another female member of our team, were like, oh, we had a gut feel, and then we started talking about it to each other, and we realized that we've got to keep talking about this more, because if I'm feeling it, you might be feeling it, and we might suppress that because we think, oh, it might be just ours, but actually it's a signal. It's telling us something.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a little bit of like the head and heart fighting each other, isn't it? Because then you might, at that point, when you've got that gut feeling, you don't normally have the data points to back it up. And so you then have to go, okay, fight the gut. I've got to go with the facts. And what do I know? This is the right decision. But I'm a big believer in going with your gut.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
And then get the data to support it.
And get the data, yeah, exactly. Well, because that's what we did then. We shared some insights. I was like, oh, yeah, so there's a data point there that's actually, then I had more confidence that, I just grew in confidence that, I could, So it wasn't me. It was, it was a real,
it was a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we can hear, we can see, we can feel your energy, Vic, which is amazing, that you are naturally infectiously persuasive, and that contagious conviction that you share with us is tangible. Can I ask you a would you rather question in the context of, would you rather spend time there being infectiously persuasive and thinking about the big picture vision versus actually analytically, decisively focusing on what's important today? And how do you manage those two things? Tensions.
Oh, this is a big thing for me, because I think I've just summarized it in my response to the last question. But yeah, I mean, I am about big picture and being the persuasive element, using my gut, but I really am having to work on the analytical element and making sure I don't just make decisions based on that and gut feeling and excitement. And I get so excited with customers and I get so but I've got to make sure that all the time that's why you'll keep hearing me say, get the data, Vic. I have this little birdie that flies in and goes, get the data. So I think where you really want to be is you want to have that mix, don't you? You want to have a hybrid of being sort of infectiously persuasive, but then going, and here's the data to back it up. Because also everyone behaves and reacts and communicates in different ways. Sometimes my persuasiveness is great and everyone's like, oh, I'm sold, Vic. But then there might be somebody in the room that goes, well, prove it. And so trying to get that balance to me is key. But yeah, I'm definitely the persuasive element first and then back it up with the data.
Yeah, good. So creativity and, that genius ideas magic is part of I'm just going to be biased now and put out the archetype, is part of a marketing setup, isn't it? And toolkit.
Yeah.
Would you rather, knowing what you know now about making that into a tool, a cloud-based tool, would you rather have inconsistent creative genius in your team or consistent accountability for achieving the results? And how has that shifted over time?
You want the creative genius at the beginning, 100%. You need that vision, that passion, problem solving. When you're doing something that's truly innovative, you need to have it, because that's how we built a platform that's world leading and that all these massive global enterprises use our solution. Because it's truly unique, truly innovative, and that wouldn't come without that creative genius. However, to scale, you definitely need the accountability and the consistent results, because actually scaling then, once you've got past those first, I'd say for us, for the first 3 to 4 years, like I said, everyone's mucking in, you're making sure you've got the product market fit, you're making sure you're pivoting, you're constantly assessing feedback, results, what do we need to do? We changed the product so much in the first couple of years. Originally when the first time we made a sale, it's quite a funny story actually. The first time we made a sale, we built this one size fits all language model. So we thought that it would be a swipe your credit card, MailChimp kind of experience, whereby it wasn't going to be bespoke, it wouldn't be on brand. We just have this language that's it, and all these brands would log in and generate optimized language. And within the first couple of months, we've made our first sale at £49, at which point, honestly, you would have thought we had just won the jackpot. Lottery. We went out and celebrated. We spent, I don't want to tell you how much we spent, but it was a massive loss. We're right, I think we probably need to get our celebrations into proportion. But we were so excited. And then we suddenly realized, actually, this product it can't be a one size fits all, because brand voice and tone of voice is so crucial. The way that eBay talks to their audience is completely different to Virgin, is completely different to Domino's. And so then we realized actually it's a bespoke solution. We need to make sure that we're pivoting the product. And I think, so for me, that sort of creativeness is what's needed at that point. Then you need to make sure that it's all about, so I say the first 3 to 4 years, and then the last 2 years really about, we've been building these foundations to now really scale effectively and efficiently as quickly as possible. And I think you can only do that with consistent results, accountability, process, making sure it's the sales and marketing function. It's like a little machine now. We know what has to come in at the top to come out at the bottom. You still want that creative.
You do want, So what's the biggest, because I've sort of gone in my head to, okay, so what's happened to all those creative people over here that now don't like this new world? What's, for somebody who's also on that journey, what's the biggest bridge link? If you were going to go through it again and you've come out the other side of that, how have you bridged this, exploration to exploitation phase in terms of the team? How have you managed that transition?
That's a really good question. I think it's almost naturally happened as you scale and you form natural teams. So, you still want the creativity and the element for our marketing campaigns. Like, we like to think we do things slightly differently. We were a challenge about, like, we were so innovative. We had to make this sort of big song and dance when we were initially launched. We've got a really unique tone of voice ourselves. So from a marketing perspective, you still want that creativity, even though it might be in the confines of a structure and a clear marketing plan strategy to be able to implement. And similarly with product, as we've grown the team around that, you still want ideas. You've still got to be developing it. You've still got to be pushing it and understanding, but it's just done with slightly more constraints rather than sending everyone off on a different idea. Like, it's back to that focus thing. Like, it's really important to brainstorm and get that creative influence on a team by team basis. And, Parry, our CEO, he's a real creative as well. So he's got great vision and he has a lot of input. But you can't be going like this every 5 minutes because you won't progress. You really won't. So I don't know when, I wouldn't be able to put a time like as to when that shift happened. I would just say it naturally happens. I think the moment that you've got that product market fit, you start to scale, you get to probably about like 35, 40 employees, and you realize that everyone's got to be focused on what they're doing. You need to have that structure. But I wouldn't know when and how exactly that
transition
happened.
Yeah, you've answered it. You've just answered it. Nailed on. Amazing. Right. Getting to know you. We need to get to know you with the Would You Rather game. This is going to be brilliant for you because the first one anyway, because of the language element. But would you rather learn a new spoken language or a new computer language?
I'm going to say new spoken language.
Oh. Would you rather be poor and work at a job you love, or be rich, very rich, and work at a job you hate?
Oh, totally be poor and work at a job you love. Yeah. You've got to have happiness. You need job satisfaction. And that's what makes life. Like, that's what I love about
go. Yeah. So, talking about having one life, would you rather have a pause button or a rewind?
Always pause. Never rewind, because you can't change the past. It's back to my thing. Don't have regrets.
You're going to love this one then, in a minute. Would you rather never be angry or never be envious?
Never be envious.
Yeah.
Envious is not a nice trait, and that just makes you feel horrible as well. It's like angry. I'm really passionate, so I do, like, I can have flare-ups like the best, but sometimes you need to just expel them. And then I'm very good. I don't hold grudges. I'm not resentful. But sometimes, you can. I think it's totally fine to get angry at the right situations, as long as you're not angry and shouting at everyone the whole time. I mean, that's not okay. But
no, that's not okay. As you say, in envy is, as you say, just swim your own lane. Keep going. It's your life. Yeah. Would you rather be funnier than you are or smarter than you are?
Funnier.
Yeah, me too.
We all want to laugh all day, don't we?
I'm just not that funny, I've realised. People tell me anyway, I'm not that funny. I'd quite like to be funny.
Yeah.
Would you rather never age or never need sleep to function?
Oh, now this is a hard one, because I'm getting to that age where I'm very conscious of certain things happening.
I hear you.
Never age or never need sleep. Never need sleep, I think. Yeah.
I'm going to guess that, and we know the answer to this, but I'll ask anyway. Would you rather die in 20 years with no regrets or live to 100 but have some?
No regrets.
Would you rather be in the history books for being an absolute devilish, having done something terrible monster, or be completely forgotten after you die?
That's 100% dependent on what the bad thing is. Because if it's bad, but like quite like, oh my gosh, like quite exciting, I want that. But if it's bad, oh no, completely forgotten. It's not about fame for me. Like, it really isn't. About happiness and fulfillment.
Amazing. It's been so wonderful to get to know you today. Thank you for sharing all these insights. Honestly, it's really inspiring to hear your journey, and I'm sure that lots and lots of others will be kind of feeding off every word.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
On that note of feeding off of what we've learned from you today, could we sort of end on an advice of some lessons learned? What advice would you give to your younger self, given everything you know now?
Okay, I've probably covered most of it. And when we talked about today, okay, first one, practice being resilient. It's not a trait that you either have or you don't have. It's totally learned. And it will really, really do you well for when you're at those absolute moments of despair and you think, oh gosh, I've hit rock bottom. It will really help from a coping mechanism standpoint. So I'm really big on that. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. I think I've already said that. Mistakes are good. They help you grow. And just make sure that you always learn and pivot if required. And that's from a business perspective and from a personal perspective. And then I think I have kind of two. One is get a mentor. I think it's invaluable. Someone that you can learn from, someone that you can turn to, someone that you can just run something past. Ideally, someone who's been there and done it before. I think a mentor is a little bit different to a coach. But I've always found that really, really helpful. And I think finally, from a female perspective, I'm not sure I'm allowed to say this, but I think I've already sworn once in this interview anyway. But don't be a bitch. I'm fed up. Of women who are not supporting other women in business. It is proven women who support women are more successful. And I've got a massive thing on success is not a pie. There is enough for all of us to have it. Champion each other, support each other, find your tribe, get that support. And just be confident in the people that surround you and learn from each other. Don't be a bitch.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Advocacy, like a role model for advocacy. I love it. Love it.
That's perfect. I love that note of, teaching yourself resilience. Don't be afraid to make mistakes and supporting other women as we all go along. There's lots of success to go around. I love that. Fantastic. It
is we can all be successful together. Why not champion each other? I can't bear other women that bring people down. It's just not cool. Yeah.
Well,
what joy!
Thank you so much. We learned so much, I think, today. I love this. Really helpful.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been really lovely to chat to you both.